What's going on, everybody? My name's Danny Ferrari.
My name's Parker Immense.
We are Excellent Sound, and we are finally back with an amazing tutorial, bro. We are back. Brostep is back. It's official. Skrillex put out a Brostep album. I don't care what you say if some of it's not. It's Brostep, okay? We already decided. And obviously he did it for us because we put out a brand new pack called Brostep. You guys didn't already know? We got a brand new pack out. It's called Brostep. It's got 150 Serum presets, all classic Brostep sounds that we know and love with a little modernized twist.
Crazy timing, dude. It's like Skrillex called us and was like, yo, we're dropping an album. Can you guys do a sound pack?
Yeah, he's like, hey, I need some inspiration. Can you give me maybe some, you know,
exactly,
what do you think?
Dude.
He said, Brostep's coming back.
Who would have thunk it?
But today, what we're going to be talking about is talking about the history of the growl. Now, we've done a couple growl videos before. We've definitely done of like a why your growls suck, and we've covered it. But what we're going to do today is we are using Serum 2. Serum 2 is officially out, and there's so much to be explored with it. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you guys some of the classic tricks to getting those classic growls. We have some cool examples of how they used to be made. And then we're going to be taking those and sort of using a modernized twist with Serum 2.
The old way is kind of, it takes like longer.
So hard, like, okay?
They had to go all the way around just to come back and do what we do in a couple clicks.
With that being said, like the video, subscribe, comment down below. We're definitely going to do a Brostep drop coming up soon video, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you guys kind of what the modernized growl is. We have an example from Brostep. We're going to go ahead and give you guys this preset for free and whatever preset we make today too as well. It's not going to sound like a growl until the very, very end, so you guys have to sit and wait to the very end for that. It's going to be so sick. It'll all come together.
It's going to be very satisfying.
Yes. So here's an example of a modernized growl with Serum, right? Okay, so we have this sort of patch just we made. It's in Brostep. It's a really cool movement-based growl. Right, it has a lot of cool movement. You can see there's some cool filtering going on, a lot of cool wavetables. Now, back in the day, they had some wavetables, but they didn't have that much processing, right? So I went ahead and made this patch, I'm trying to remember how I used to do this. So here's an example of like a massive style growl. Well, let me show you this. So I got a massive on one track, and I also have a sub dedicated on the other. So here's an example of massive, my best interpretation at my time trying to do this. Kind of gritty, growly, right? And if I turn off the processing, let me turn all this off. Not too bad, right? If you open this up, it's a lot of, you know, the classic sort of wavetable, and then trying to use band reject and double notch. I mean, all of these are in Serum. The difference was with Massive and Serum 1 was that you didn't have the ability to route to different filters, right? We only had one filter, and we didn't have the ability to run in series or parallel like Massive does. So Massive, you can essentially run multiple oscillators into different filters. So back in the day, I would try to get some sort of cool tone, and then I would try to move the filters, and then I would try to process. And then to expand on that, I might add some extra processing. You can kind of see. But if you put everything on like a one macro sort of thing, you can get some really cool stuff. You know, I got a couple Ableton stock filters in here. You know, I got some OTT, I got a high pass filter, I got like a notch filter right here, I got some overdrive, and then I got some vowel filters. Very loud. Let me turn that down. Right? Okay, so that's like kind of the classic growl. Now, here's an example of how it really was done. Our friend SPITFYA, if you guys don't know about him, he's an OG. He, back in the day, was like really figuring out a lot of these Skrillex sounds. So I asked him to borrow one of his classic sort of presets. Something like this versus his. So much OTT texture going on, right? Look how bad they had it back in the day. Look at this shit, man. I mean, this is just, you got shit moving all over the place, you know, and then you got to process it, and then let alone you turn it off. Like, that's what it sounds like.
You know what's crazy about this too is that there's like a certain skill knowing what's simple enough to put into a rack like this.
Yeah, like
you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm trying to figure out is like, how did you know that like, okay, this is done, now let me move on to
like,
the processing.
this is like enough to get something once things start moving, you know?
Let's talk about how we can take these old sort of classic movement-based basses, and let's see what we can do in Serum 2 now that we have the future, right? Life got a lot easier. So here's what's kind of cool. So let's say you take something like this. We're gonna start with an initiated Serum. Here's what's really cool. We were kind of showing this in one of our live streams before. Is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add a actual one shot from Brostep. There's a lot of cool stuff where I think we could try doing the wavetable, just bringing in a wavetable. Great texture in that. Let's go ahead and bring that in. I'm just gonna bring it in. I'm gonna do pitch average. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead. Let's bring it down 2 octaves. That sounds pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crossfade all of my, basically I'm going to crossfade all these tables so they blend nicely into each other. And then I'm going to normalize each of them. So the way you do that is, I believe you go like this, normalize each grain. So now that we have that, if we're making a growl like a normal serum, right, we're over here, we're throwing LFOs on it. We're throwing this on the wavetable, right? We're like, what does this sound like? We're not going to do that this time because, like I said, we're going to stay towards the end and we're going to try to we're going to try to make this sound without listening to it.
Can we talk shit too, real quick, too?
You can talk shit all you want,
bro. Almost every complex wavetable is just a bass one.
Oh my god, yes.
Come on, dude. We got to tell them about that.
A lot of these complex, if you just cycle through them, you can hear. It's
and
just
they're
that.
good. They're good bass one shots.
They're great. Yes. Some of them don't work. So like one idea is like this, how you just kind of throw it into the wavetable. Another thing you could do is we need something in the same sort of key though. Okay, that's a really good one. Okay, so let's drag this, but let's go ahead and let's put this in the right pitch. Let's go to sampler, set the semitone. All right, so you got that in there. You essentially could do that, right? But you only get so many options with just doing a sample, and I feel like it's better to use a wavetable. I'd rather use this as a wavetable because you can only get so much with it, and I kind of like with what we're doing. So let's keep modernize it with sort of the wavetable. So let's go ahead and choose some new Serum 2 wavetables. Let's see if we got anything interesting in here. So most of this stuff is probably going to be like sort of FM based, but look at this additive talk. What does this do? Let's turn this down. I gotta stay down 2 octaves.
Oh, this could be really sick.
We could use that. Let's see what else we got. These are sine harmonics. Yeah, these are all very FM-y. You know, he doesn't really have a lot of the spectral wavetables. Oh. All right, so now that we got that, here's the part where stuff's gonna start sort of coming together. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this macro. Let's find the sweet spot. Everything's about finding the sweet spot. So let's find the sweet spot here. Starts to cut out there. Like Parker said, let's go backwards with it. So we got our macro going. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to oscillator A. Let's go ahead and sweep through this as well. How does this sound? Kind of lose it there. So let's try here. Perfect. Okay, now we can do the same thing. We can start adding some different sorts of bends and minuses. A lot of times if you already have a cool growl, doing like a bend minus or like an old school like ASEM like will kind of mess up the sound. It kind of makes it sound a little farty. But not too bad. Let's see if we put this on. Let's find the sweet spot. That's good. Okay, let's turn that off. Let's go back to oscillator B. Let's try like an ASEM. And let's throw this on there. Kind of using the low end a little bit. Let's try this. See, it's kind of thinning it out, which sounds cool, but we want to keep that sort of, that chunkiness of it. Maybe a bend plus. Let's go backwards with it, maybe. Okay, that's good. That's nice. All right. Now we have our sine wave, so let's go ahead and add that. We got our sub. Okay. Now let's go ahead and turn on our other wavetable. Now let's add our first filter. Okay, so classic filter, high pass, right? Another really good one that doesn't really get talked about, the band rejects. Now let me show you what's cool about band reject, right? So band reject has the ability to sort of get these awesome sort of formant-y peaks right here. If you mess with the width and sort of the resonance and the cutoff, right? So I don't want this to be too wide, but I can use this. I'm getting that yai. Sweet spot it, right? Let's go ahead and put the knob there. Cool, that sounded pretty good. Now let's go ahead and try the cutoff. I don't want to move it too much. I think just a slight bit of cutoff move would probably be good. Now that we got that, let's go ahead and jump into some of the effects, right? Let's go ahead and do distortion. All right, let's go ahead and add a little bit of macro on the drive. I'm gonna turn the mix down. This is hard because I'm trying to make it without listening to it. We're probably gonna have to finalize it, but I'm trying to give you like sort of the cool sort of thing at the end. Oh, we're getting there. All right, so let's get a hyperdimension. This is the one knob growl, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and put this hyperdimension here. Let's turn this shit off. Let's just go do the classic size down. Mix up almost halfway. All right, now let's get creative. Let's get some more movement with some EQ. Maybe we do something like this. This is kind of a classic shape you would maybe see, something like this. We might need to put this before everything. I want to be able to really hear what's going on, right? Okay, listen to that. Find the spot, right? We're finding the sweet spot. Right, and then this one can sort of sweep through too. Maybe this one goes backwards a little bit. Let's go ahead and do another thing. Let's go ahead and add a phaser in there, the classic phaser, the old Skrillex phaser. Now we're getting a little bit of feedback, so let's pull that down. So we got 4 poles. Let's put this at 17% or around maybe like 20. Let's put this before. Yes, okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and add some sweepage to that too. Let's put some on the frequency maybe. Let's go ahead and add in the last 2 most important components in my opinion. We need a final filter. Let's go ahead and let's keep it simple. We can do an EQ or we can use a filter in Serum 2. But let's go ahead and throw that on to the cutoff. We're gonna use, we'll try high 18 first. That's too thin. Now let's go ahead and make sure this is going to direct out. We're gonna go direct. Maybe a little bit of dry. Maybe 12 actually. I feel like 12 maybe is the move. Got to really get that sweet spot. That feels pretty good. Now let's go ahead and add, this is what you've been waiting for, the final touch. Now this, there's 2 things you can do. So this is the main thing that you want to do, is go into the matrix now and go ahead and add this macro like so. We're going to go ahead and do macro 1 right here. And we're going to go ahead and add this to the, they changed it to say, now it says main tuning, not master tune. I don't know why they did that.
Weird.
Let's go ahead and set it to 9%, which is essentially about an octave. Now, okay, so there's one thing you could do, right? So that's like, that's insane. I mean, that's... Now, one thing that they would do too is they would play around with portamento quite a bit, right? If they didn't want to do pitch modulation. So let me turn this down for a minute so you guys can hear. So there's... You can notice I'm just going back and forth from different notes. I got a lot of portamento, and that's kind of gliding, creating that sort of pitch mod as well. Right, so you can do so much shit. So now what you would essentially do is once you have this, maybe you put on some, you know, a nice fat rack. All right, sounds kind of lame. So remember, we set this up. We're ready to go. Let's go ahead and take this and let's go ahead and draw some shapes. I mean, now essentially we're drawing our LFO. I mean, that's just sick. Right? So you might just go through, take this patch, maybe like we start sort of changing it, and you know, maybe this one kind of just is like a super long one. Right? You got this, and now you could just sit here and you got your own little sample pack you could start, you know, start making, right? Resample this and just sort of make a bunch of these, you know, that you have them to use. But right, now we got this sample. Now I could take this sample and like maybe I'm fucking with this thing. Like maybe I start really sort of getting experimental with some of the warp modes, you know, maybe I start messing with grains and textures and... Now I'm getting kind of glitchy. You know, the amount of stuff that you could do is completely endless. So the modernized Serum 2 classic, you know, new take on the old sort of growls from back in the day.
Yeah, you know what's cool about this too is that like it does seem old,
yeah,
but it does give you a little bit more handling on the shapes of everything.
Right.
And it really gives you a lot of control over the growl.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to do it this way, but as you can see, I mean, this is how you get the real crazy stuff. We can only do so much in an LFO because essentially whatever shape we draw, it's just that one shape. It's always going to be that. And we always try to do that. Like you'll see, a lot of these have just a lot of different movements with the LFOs, different shapes. Right, and a lot of different cool stuff. Right, some of them are kind of just more classic, like that. That's like we could get really good with that, right? But we only have this one shape, and then maybe we change the shape. You know, could be you if you want to mess with these presets. Is maybe sort of change these shapes. But you see most of the LFO is on one thing, right? So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something from that. It's kind of a cool way to experiment with your growls. Start doing it with your FM basses too. Maybe you can get some wild FMs too. We should probably try to do that.
Yeah, that would be a sick video to do too,
yeah,
bro.
Definitely. And definitely go check out Brostep. Link is in the description. Shout out SPITFYA for your help for this video. Appreciate you, brother.
If you guys stayed this long, we're running a spring sale right now. So
spring is sprung.
You guys can get Brostep for a crazy deal right now. Just make sure to type in the code SPRING30 and you get 30% off, baby, for spring.
I didn't even know that. That's amazing,
Danny
bro.
didn't even know that, dude.
Yeah,
It's springtime, dude.
That's right, bro.
Shout out Easter.
People are screwing, bro.
Shout out eggs,
horny,
dude.
Yeah,
eggs, bro.
Eggs are flowing. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Check out Brostep, link in the description. And next time, video, we're going to be producing a Brostep drop, so stay tuned for that, guys. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.